Don't forget Cosmo and Bailey. They're here too. Cosmo, Galaxy fans in the house. You know, you're very close to BMO Stadium, just a reminder. And Bailey for the LA Kings. Round of applause for the mascots that are out here today. And thank you for being here today. We are so excited and welcome to joining us for the inaugural Sports and Entertainment Diversity Summit. There is money out there, and there are companies that need to go grab that money, and that's what today is about. As they said, my name is Kevin Frazier. I'm the co-host of Entertainment Tonight, and I'm thrilled to be here. I will moderate this panel, but really, we're going to talk about what is going on in LA and the big ticket items and how you can be a part of them. And our first panel is called Game Changers, Economic Impact on Mega Events, and we will explore how Los Angeles sports leaders are preparing for those major upcoming events like the FIFA World Cup, which will be incredible, the Super Bowl, and of course, LA 28. In both of those, well, in all three of those, the world will descend upon Los Angeles like never before. We have to be ready. And these three gentlemen up here will share their insights into the strategies for building capacity, event preparation and execution, supplier diversity goals, and the incredible financial impact these efforts will have on supporting small businesses and strengthening our local economy. Let's jump right in and get going. Once again, let me introduce everybody. First, President of Business Operations and Chief Operations Officer of the LA Galaxy, Tom Braun. And Chief Operating Officer, AEG Sports, and the Chief Operating Officer and COO of the Los Angeles Kings, Kelly Cheeseman. And then finally, Tom Andrus, the President of Access North America. He is the ticketing partner for LA 28. And you know what? I want to start down here with you, Tom, because you're the little engine that could, in many ways, by stealing this deal, because there are some big ticket companies. But Access being a part of ticketing for LA 28, how does that happen and what does it mean for your company?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal for us, and it's not something that happens overnight. Like basically, I mean, we're a 12-year-old startup, and so we have put in a lot of work to, with a lot of big companies to learn ticketing, to grow, to offer them service and support, so that when it came time for the Olympics, for LA 28 to go out and look, we were actually in a space to be competitive. And so we could go through that process. It was a very long process. It took us over a year of, through the bid process, working with them, competing. We found that we could partner with someone because we had half the services. We know the US, we know ticketing here, but we have a partner who has done other Olympics, who knows kind of how you work with all the sponsors and everything. And we came together and created a bid, with them. But I will say it was a culmination of many, many years of work. And like we were lucky to be in the finalists. And then when you get down to the finalists, it's you versus someone who's a lot bigger than you. And you have to show them something different. You have to show up and be something special that they actually say, yeah, you may not be the first. Obviously.
What did you do that was special? All right, let's give up the secrets now so we know. Now, when you're battling, I mean, you go in and you look across the table and there are other big organizations in there. What do you have to do? What did you do?
Yeah, well, what we had to do was be different. Like we had to actually come in and say, look, and I think the partnership was a big part of that, where we said, we identified what we did well, we identified some weaknesses that we had. So by putting together a competitive co-bid, we were able to offer something that the big giant couldn't do. And I think that's really, it's getting creative, and that's one. I think the second is relationships. You can never underestimate the value of every relationship you make along the way.
Important note there, relationships, and today you will have a chance to make relationships, or at least start relationships with some of the folks here, like Kelly. What do you look for when you're looking at smaller minority vendors, and what do you want those vendors and businesses to have to appeal to you at the Kings? And by the way, shout out, you're undefeated right now. I just want to say, Kings doing well.
I think, we want to make sure we have a partner that can deliver and has some experience in, whatever unique instance we're putting them into. And, there's a great example that we've had over the years, Donna Chen with Buzz Hive Creative. She came to us to do some of our we were looking for our partner to help us deliver special events in the community with our King's Care Foundation. So we had things that are more satellite from our venues. We're very accustomed to doing events inside, Crypto.com Arena or Dignity Health Sports Park, and that's very comfortable to do those things because we have our group. But when you go out in the community and do a 5K in Redondo Beach, you need somebody to go with you and deliver that at the high class expectation that's your fans are accustomed to. And Donna and Buzz Hive came to Jen Pope at our team and delivered an outstanding event probably 10, 15 years ago. And we, at that point, just started developing a relationship that she did, then, Tippa King and some of our other satellite events. And over time, we were able to start referring her. She started doing Galaxy, pregame festivities. And then as the Rams came to town, we referred her to the Rams.
What wows you when you meet a vendor? What makes you say, I like this person, or I feel comfortable with this person?
I think it's energy and ability to, usually small vendors are coming, they have smaller staff and they're putting together, and sometimes they have subcontractors that they're pulling in to get the job done, and their ability to pull that together and deliver for you. When we, do big events, it impresses you. A little scrappiness, like we're small teams too, right? So a little scrappiness and energy, and they just get the job done. That's what sports is about. You got to win at the end of the day.
Love that. Tom, we just heard Kelly mention the Galaxy and some of the things you're doing. What are ways that you're interacting with minority and diverse different vendors, and what opportunities are there?
Yeah, great question, and so excited to be here today, so thanks for having me. Listen, we're part of the community. Every single thing that we do, we recognize we could be and are oftentimes the most positive thing that brings communities together, right? Sports has that ability. The Kings and the Galaxy have that ability to bring communities together in a really positive way. So we have a responsibility and a duty to ensure that we're giving back to community in the right way too. So there's a couple things that we do. One thing we do is we do a community partner of the match. Every single match that we have at Dignity Health Sports Park, we have a community partner, and we highlight that community partner to the best of our ability. A second thing that we do is we do a small business of the month. Every single month, we use our assets and our channels to make sure that we're highlighting a business in the community and make sure that they're getting a platform that they otherwise might not get using the power and the brand that is the LA Galaxy.
What kind of opportunities do you guys see? And I'll throw us out to the whole panel, but Kelly, you especially, what kind of opportunities will present themselves with these three major events where the world is coming here to Los Angeles?
I think, there's so many things that go into the big events once they're determined, and we'll, as organizations like ourselves with with the Kings, the Galaxy, or AG, we'll work closely with Kathy and her team at with the Sports Commission, and Adam and his team at the LA Tourism to put our bids together and get the event. But once you get into execution mode, there's hundreds of things that got to go on, thousands of things that go on. I mean, Tom and Access, they're a vendor doing ticketing, but you get into signage and event production and small events in the community. There's so many satellite expectations that got to get delivered. It's probably an unlimited amount of opportunity. Even executing small merchandise programs and pop-up shops. There's a lot of those opportunities that can get executed in the community. So the economic impact that these events have, there's obviously the things that are attached directly to the event and contracted by the event, but economic impact is, across the region. So you look at, something like an all-star weekend for, NHL or NBA, that'll bring $50-60 million in economic impact, some of which is directly attributed right inside where the venues are at or the hotels are at, but so many things go on beyond that. And those opportunities are really about what you're doing to be a part of, your connection to the hotels that are executing and hosting and all of that. So it's just unlimited in terms of the types of things that can get executed beyond our scope.
And maybe to add to that, so MLS was birthed out of the 94 World Cup. The final was hosted at the Rose Bowl. We've had the Women's World Cup at the Rose Bowl in 1999. In 2026, The biggest event in the history of the world will be in North America with the World Cup. You marry that with the Super Bowl, you marry that with the Olympics in 28. There's an immense amount of opportunity down the road. Millions and millions of people are be coming to our city to experience these events, and finding those opportunities, I think, will be invaluable and available.
I want to ask Tom Andrus, how did you scale your company up? Once you realize you get this gig, then what? How do you scale up?
Well, I think a big part of it is to realize that these big events, World Cup, Olympics, etc., are really like the cherry on top. They're like the dessert. You don't build your business by just doing those. You build your business by every day showing up, and when there are problems, fixing those problems, and then making sure you build it one piece at a time. Because in a lot of times it looks great to like, hey, we're going to do the Olympics, but the Olympics aren't going to how you make your business. They validate your business. That's what like makes you, it's a win that you get. And so for us, that's what the way I look at the Olympics is, all right, great. Thank you for validating us. We're going to work really hard. We're going to make this work. But it's the day-to-day, every other event that we're doing. I mean, we'll do 500 events over a weekend across the country. Like, it's just everything's always going, and you just have to be perfect. You have to like make sure that every one of those partners that you have is happy, right?
How do you be perfect though? You say you have to be perfect.
can't.
I mean, no one is perfect. So
You
I'm
can't.
trying,
You can ask Kelly. You can ask Kelly. We are not perfect, but when we have a problem, when you have something, you show up. You deal with it. You take it head on. Like everyone's going to have employees. Employees are going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to have something go wrong in technology because technology's got a problem. But it's how you step up. It's how you get in and you own the issue, you fix it, you make it better, and you work together so the next time it's even better. I think that's a lot of part of being a great vendor, a great supplier is when something is off, how do you step in? How do you fix it?
I want to ask Tom Braun, and Kelly, how do you as a vendor, and you're out there and you're working, you're building this business, how do they find you or get in touch with you? What are those steps that really can get them in front of the right person? Because, so often there are so many roadblocks for small vendors, whereas, those big companies, they have the direct access. They roll in and they're like, we're here, let's do it, give us the money. What can the small vendors do?
Oftentimes people think of sports teams as being massive organizations, right? We're a pretty lean team that operates efficiently and does the best with what we have, right? We just have a really big megaphone. So oftentimes we find vendors through relationships. And Kelly mentioned the relationship originally that he had to help with his 5K. That's how we come in contact. So I think the more relationships that you can build, whether it's with someone like Kelly or myself or even members of our staff, I think goes a really long way to be able to get the foot in the door. One, we have to know you're around and that you're looking to work, and we have to build that trust and that relationship, which will take a little bit of time. But
Are you out at those events? Like, we will see you out at those events?
oh yeah, I think Kelly, I'll speak for myself, but I can probably mention for Kelly too. We're out at almost every event. You'll see us at our games, you'll see us at events, and we're always happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to like microphones, we want to make sure that they're working, and we have. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's some small vendor that needs to fix a problem right now. Just saying.
No, you'll be surprised. Like more often than not, we're at small events in the community. And you see something, you're like, that's cool. Who's that person? And we'll go over, get that card, and talk to our marketing manager. Hey, I met this person at an event. They delivered something really cool. Maybe contact them. So, like Tom said, we're actually small and scrappy businesses in sports, but we're part of a much bigger organization. I mean, AEG is one of the largest sports entertainment companies in the world. Access is one of the largest ticketing companies in the world. But we're small conglomerate businesses coming together. I mean, I was part of ticketing some of the first events in sports with Access with the Galaxy. 12 years ago. When you say 12 years, it makes me feel a little old. But we're scrappy. We're small. Like we network to get good relationships. So being at those events, introducing yourselves to us, like we're open to that. We're we sell tickets and we do the same thing, right? So it's not, it's just about networking, building relationships with small marketing, marketing managers and directors and things like that. And it can open a lot of doors by delivering one little thing. And we're usually looking for those solutions.
And it's interesting, Kelly, because as you say that, because you told a great story while we were standing backstage about working your way up. This is a process. It's not happening overnight. And Kelly, you talked about how you were in minor league baseball and you used to have to don the mascot's costume sometimes to go do visits at children's hospitals and other things. And if anybody has a problem with Bailey or Cosmo, look at that man right there, because he helped design those, which is cool that he helped design the both of those mascots for 2 franchises. I'm sure there are more, aren't there?
No, did I? No, we have the Ice Bear in Berlin, but that polar bear was already there. So
The pole, okay.
But no, it's a very rewarding thing to be a part of in designing a brand that has a lasting legacy in a city, and the amount of reach that it creates over time. And you take, the Kings and the Galaxy, like, we're 2 iconic brands in this town, in a town that's gotten a lot busier with sports. I mean, most people don't realize with the Kings, we're almost 60 years old in this town. And so the lasting legacy that you can create from something like creating a mascot, which we realized was a gap when we created Bailey back in 2006-07, that we didn't have a mascot, and our players could only be in certain spots at certain times. There's only 25 of them, and they can maybe make 4 or 5 appearances a year. When you create a mascot, that mascot can go into the community and make 500 appearances. And that also creates economic impact as well. Like, the ice crew and the mascot goes in the community and builds brand, builds relationships with those kids. That's a reach. And, we did the same thing with Cosmo. Cosmo's around, but we reinvented him. But my experience in actually putting on the mascot outfit when I was the marketing manager with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, I was in the office designing the website, doing the collateral design, selling tickets, selling sponsorships. But part of our role is we didn't have a full-time mascot, so we had to go, there was hospital visits and school visits. We all had to sign up and do it. And it's incredibly rewarding and fun to do. And just seeing the kids light up from those moments, it's fun. So I have a real passion for mascots and what they do for a brand and building a brand in a city.
I might be too tall to put on a mascot costume, but what Kelly is saying is right. We constantly have to outpunch our weight class, right? We have to continue to do more and more with what we have, right? So sports teams are incredibly scrappy. I know in MLS for a long period of time, soccer had a challenge of becoming something in the States, right? And even in the last 30 years, MLS is now 29, soon to be 30 years old. We have to compete with really major leagues, the NHL, NBA, NFL, right? So you constantly have to continue to find ways to be scrappy and do everything it takes to get recognized.
Speaking of that recognition, what does it take for a vendor to go from, hey, I'm working with you on an event, to someone who is working every single day and every single season over and over again with your organizations?
Yeah, the quality of the work is important, right? And I see it as a small vendor being almost better than a larger vendor, right? You have that interaction that you might not have with a big vendor. You know that there's a different level of passion that comes with a small vendor that you might not get with a massive corporation. So I find a lot of value and even more value in working with small vendors than maybe even looking at a larger one, because they're going to deliver, and that they care at a deeper level than perhaps even a bigger vendor would.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, coming back to Donna and BuzzHive, I mean, she knew she could deliver and she got it done. And I would say also make sure that you're honest with yourself. Don't take on more than you can actually achieve, because if you do fail, it could be, critical for your long-term success, because, people talk, right? So be honest with the situation. Just because it's a great opportunity where you're like, eyes wide open, I gotta get this. But if you don't deliver in that moment, that could be fatal for, that longer-term relationship. So assuring for us, we're speaking to thousands of fans at these events. we got to deliver for those fans. And if there's failure in that, it's really challenging. And I mean, not to bring up a bad thing, but sometimes when we have a technology challenge, dealing with ticketing, like we're on the phone together, attacking that challenge and speaking to thousands of people that are trying to get through the gate, and we gotta deal with it and communicate with them. So make sure you're ready to go.
Speaking of ready to go and coming back, and shout out first, Tom, to what the Galaxy have done on the field. You guys have really rebuilt the brand, and you guys have done a great job of resurrecting them, because they were struggling for a few years. This other little team, I don't know, down the street started doing well. But you guys have done a great job of resurrecting that brand, so congratulations on that. And then I want to ask Tom Andrus, has there been a moment, a challenge that you've had to overcome as a vendor, as you were working with someone that it could have been fatal to your business?
I mean, it does happen. And I will say, you have to focus on what is the most important thing to your partner. And are you making sure you're getting that done? And I think we've had some instances where at the very basic, say when a show goes on sale or when people are getting into the venue, there's a place where you're at risk, and you don't want to end up in the press. You don't want to end up upsetting all those customers. You don't want to do that. So you have to, at that moment, own it. You feel the same pain that your partner feels. And it doesn't matter what service you're delivering. If your service is coming up short, you have to put yourself in their shoes and understand that it is the most critical thing in the world, right? And so, fortunately, I would say we've been able to stay out of the press and handle issues when they pop up, because they're always going to pop up. And that's how we work with people what we expect from people we work with. We don't have nearly as many suppliers as the teams or the buildings, but we expect them to feel that with us. And I think there was a recent one this year earlier with the Galaxy where one of their other partners was having a problem, and we got on the phone with them to say, what can we do to help? It wasn't even our issue, but we were on site, we had people there, and we know who that partner is, and we stepped up. I would say probably that's the other thing, is recognizing when there was an issue. So if you go back 2 years ago, MGM got hacked. So MGM, basically someone put their whole computer system under siege, and they had to turn everything off. And so again, we called up and we said, what can we do to help? And we put people in cars with computers to drive from LA to Vegas so that we could actually run their events that night and the other. And it's that ability to kind of read the situation and understand your partner and understand what's most important to them, and how do you do that. And like I said, we expect that from people who we work with. So,
And
You made the employees drive. They drove, they didn't fly.
they drove it because you had to get the stuff there, and we had a van full of computers.
Nice.
So
I have to imagine your partner was so happy. They fell in love with you after that moment, right?
let me say it helped us for about a couple months, and then you're back to what have you done for me lately? But yes, they were extremely happy.
You are only as good as your last good deed, right?
Exactly.
I understand that. What challenges will there be with an international audience? Because we're talking about people from around the world, and how should vendors ramp up to take care of, like with the World Cup, you will have people from South America and Europe and Asia that will be here. Same with the Olympics, everybody from all over the world. What can vendors do, or what challenges do you see arising?
I mean, I just was in Paris kind of checking out as everything went through there. And I think if you look at how the world comes to you, a lot of it is how do you portray not just your company, your vendor, your supplier, but all of us. Like, what is the experience that you create for the world when they come for the World Cup, when they come for the Olympics? And I think, that's the one where I would say, like, there's an opportunity for all LA suppliers, for us to set an example and to basically make the contacts that are going to help you expand your business, that are like, and it's how we all show up. It's how transportation shows up. It's how the suppliers show up. It's how ticketing shows up. It's like it all comes together to be a very brand building for the region or for the country, right?
Tom, what were you going to say? How will the international audience affect things? Because I do think that people, look, I'm excited for LA 28. I'm also the World Cup. I don't think people realize how packs of fans, the Dutch even, all those orange jerseys coming down the middle of like Sepulveda is going to be wild.
Yeah, Tom hit on the head. There's going to be a huge international audience, and it's the responsibility, I think, of us as players here in Los Angeles to make sure that we're respecting the fact that we're here in LA. The community is important to us, and we have to make inroads on how we're going to make the community better in working with small vendors. So I think a lot of the responsibility falls on those that are helping manage these large events, that we're working with local small vendors.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, I mean, you look at something like the Olympics or World Cup, you're gonna have countries coming in that have teams that are unique. And maybe if you have, a unique reach from your background and you speak that language, they're gonna be looking for vendors here locally as well. So maybe not just focusing in on specifically in LA, but each country is gonna build out its, hall for its athletes and things like that. I mean, we were just playing the Kings, we just played in Quebec City. We needed translators to go with us that spoke French, right? So we hired a couple people to go with us to help us along the trip. So I would say there's, with those two events, with World Cup and Olympics, maybe think beyond a little bit outside of the box. I know that's very cliche, and knowing that there's maybe an audience that you could reach that's based on, your background and what your particular business does.
All right, Tom Brown, I'm going to start with you. Last words. What would be the advice that you would give to these vendors today about how they can take their business to the next level, but more importantly, earn business with you and the other teams that will be here, the teams and opportunities that will be here today?
Yeah, I think continue working hard, right? I think you have to continue to fight, be scrappy, work hard, deliver a finished product, do a good job with the work, and be a little noisy. Get out there and try to find the business and talk to everybody that you can and get the word out that you're there and you're looking for the work.
Does it bug you when people, they call you and call you and call you, when, the persistence of businesses, does that bother you?
I think everyone has to be persistent. I think there's a degree on persistency, right? There's a too much, or there's someone who just wants to work hard. And you got to respect the persistency. I think that's fair.
Okay. All right, Kelly?
If you're not prospecting, you're not, your pipeline's gonna dry up. But I think I would say start small, right? So a lot of times vendors and companies will come and pitch us at the Kings or AEG, and they think about the global company, and they want to have a deal that reaches all across AEG. And I, being at AEG for almost 25 years, I say execute small for us, and then I can refer you to different business units and say, hey, this person did really well for us and they're a good opportunity for you. And that's, to me, been where vendors like Donna have executed and done really well. And that's a better way to go than saying, hey, can I wrap a deal that's going to go across 3 or 4 business units? That's hard. Start small, build big.
All right, Tom, bring us home.
Yeah, I would say for me, since most of our suppliers are technology providers, it's solve a problem. Don't come to me with a better price or a better something, but come to me with something that solves a problem, that helps make everything better from our company side or employee side or customers or partner side. That to me is the win that I see.
And fix a problem if there is a problem.
Yes.
If
Yep,
there's
exactly.
a problem.
Yes.
So does that mean you should have your eye on what's going on in the marketplace with all the people who are competitive in your space also?
Absolutely. And we live in a global world. So you're competing, especially on a technology front, you're competing with people all over the world. And so it is we've got the rise of, we made it to the end of a panel and we have not mentioned AI. Mm-hmm. So that's every conference I've been going to, that's been the key thing. That is going to create that's going to create new opportunities. That's going to create, it's going to solve problems that don't exist today. And whether that, you can look at all aspects of a business And if you can be the one who helps bring that AI or integrate that AI or solve it, you have a chance to help.
I want to thank these gentlemen for being here today and giving away some of this invaluable information. It's important. And I also want to congratulate all of you for being in here today. Opportunity is knocking, y'all. Let's go get it. Come up with unique and innovative ideas and go make this money. We'll see you when we come by to buy some of your goods and services. Take care, everybody, and thanks for having us.
Thank you to our game changers, Kevin Frazier, Tom Braun, Kelly Cheeseman, and Tom Andrus, for warming up the stage.